My husband spent 20 years planting a random forest on our hillside. When I finally saw it from above, I collapsed. For 20 years, Winston was obsessed with the 60-acre ridge behind our farmhouse. While other men spent their weekends golfing or watching the game, Winston was out there with a shovel and a heavy pack of saplings. He was a man of few words, the kind of person who showed love through actions rather than poems. Whenever I asked what he was planting, he'd just wipe the sweat from his brow and say, "I'm just making sure the view stays green for you, Janet." I thought it was a hobby, a way for him to deal with the stress of the world. He planted different species, thousands of oak, larch, and Douglas fir. To me, looking out from our back porch, it just looked like a dense, growing forest. There was no rhyme or reason to the placement that I could see. As the decades passed, the trees matured. Winston grew older, and eventually he couldn't make the climb up the ridge anymore. He'd sit on the porch with his binoculars, watching the leaves change. He seemed particularly focused on the way the larch trees turned a bright golden yellow in the autumn, while the fir trees stayed a deep, permanent green. Here is the reality of what he was doing. Winston was using phytology, the study of plants, as a medium for art. He had meticulously mapped out the grid of the ridge using a compass and a hand-drawn topographical map. He knew exactly which trees would change color at which time of year. He wasn't just planting a forest, he was planting a chronochromatic map, a living picture that only revealed itself when the seasons shifted. Last year, for our 50th anniversary, our children surprised us with a hot air balloon ride over the valley. Winston was hesitant, but he insisted on going up. As the balloon rose above the tree line and drifted over our ridge, the pilot pointed downward. "Look at that," he whispered. "Someone put a lot of work into that hillside." I looked down and my breath caught in my throat. From the ground, it was just a forest, but from the sky, the golden larch trees formed a perfect, massive heart that stretched across the entire 60 acres. And inside that heart, the dark green fir trees were planted in a specific pattern that spelled out my name, Janet. He had spent 20 years of back-breaking labor planting over 6,000 trees just for a message he knew I might never see unless I looked at it from the heavens. He hadn't just given me a forest, he had changed the very landscape of the world to tell me he loved me. He didn't need to say a word, the earth was saying it for him. He took my hand in the basket of the balloon, and for the first time in 20 years, I understood why he always looked at the ridge with such a quiet, satisfied smile. He wasn't just looking at trees, he was looking at his heart laid out for the world to see.